What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Reddit video here on the Life Stories channel. My name's Dylan, and today we're going to be looking at some stories from the subreddit Tales from the Front Desk, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. When the 6 registered guests take the entire breakfast buffet. The entire buffet. Sorry it's so long, no way to tell the full deal any shorter, so our resort put out a beautiful breakfast buffet every morning. Very nice, self-serve. It wasn't your typical mid-range buffet, this was high-end stuff. Saying what it was would make the location identifiable, so sorry I can't tell. The buffet has 2 hostesses that work keeping everything stocked, fresh, and the coffee urns full. We had weddings here almost every weekend, so we're very used to dealing with them. One of the issues we dealt with was when wedding parties registered a few guests, and those registered guests assumed that the free buffet should accommodate the entire wedding party, or others. Usually we were able to inform them that the buffet is only for registered guests, but they could pay an additional $5 per person if others would like to join them. It was one hell of a deal for what we put out there, and most were willing to pay the additional charge. And then there was this party. First, it was an employee who booked the wedding venue, so it's already discounted for a wedding that's not hers but a cousin's. The employee tried to book 3 rooms using the employee discount on all 3, and was a bit miffed that it would only apply to 1 room, and only if she was in residence. She didn't want to be in residence, she lived in the community and was looking to book these accommodations for out-of-town family members. Denied using an employee discount. So the employee informs the guests that the free buffet is for everyone, not just registered guests, but everyone. The first day that they're there, of a 3-day stay, it comes in at about 30 people from the family. This group has a huge family, and the wedding will have over 300 people. So seeing the larger group who are already helping themselves to the food, we locate which are the registered guests, inform them of the additional charge, and they refuse to pay. Nope, free is free. Sorry Albert, not happening. Front desk has to come in and address the fee-feeding frenzy, which now includes members of this party taking entire platters and walking off with them. They're taking out plastic bags, they came prepared to do this, and dumping bowls of fresh fruit and more into them and bolting. In under 10 minutes they were completely destroyed and emptied the entire buffet. They walked off with full crystal jugs of juice/milk and even picked up the entire coffee urn, sugars and everything. The hostess and front desk struggle to get the buffet replenished and calls are placed at the wedding coordinator and the general manager. Other guests are waiting for their breakfast to be available and are quite kind and patient. The general manager comes in and is furious beyond belief when shown the pictures and videos and what happened. He calls the employee to come in right now and address it. She does and goes into a rant about how it should all be free and we wouldn't give her a discounted room, etc. He tells her to bring the 6 registered guests in to talk and she refuses. So the general manager places a call to each guest who all now claim not to speak English and just scream in their language. Except, surprise, general manager speaks the same language. It's 3 hours till wedding time. General manager informs the 6 registered guests that they're free to stay for the day and the wedding, but they will not be extended to the 2nd and 3rd night. Wow, the screaming. But they're all coming down to front desk to complain. So we get a lobby full of over 50 family has arrived people all screaming in a non-English language about how they're being discriminated against, mistreated, and they will have everyone fired, etc. Just wow. Unreal. Front and centre our employee, soon to be an ex-employee, in about 5 minutes. So somehow this all winds down. General manager is having a heart attack and a panic attack and is barely contained furious. He pulls up the rooms and attaches as many fees as he could get away with, including extra charges for the buffet and damages, etc. Wedding happens, drunk happens, all day and evening we're subjected to verbal abuse from a wedding party and guests. The next day comes now and the people involved are aware that they're being kicked out and no longer welcome. The general manager allowed them to stay for the wedding day only and absolutely no longer. Wow, again, just imagine how that went down and then multiply it. Bottom line, each registered guest ended up with over $1,700 in room charges. Employee fired, registered guests get on every DNR in the country, good luck with ever getting family visits in the future, ex-employee. General manager and front desk spent all week sharing the story with everyone as far as they could. But before the said guests departed, eventually they left a parting gift. One last trip through the buffet. Wiped it out completely. We ended up giving gift vouchers to all of the guests who showed up for breakfast to other restaurants in the area. Staff was dispatched to several stores some 60 miles away to restock for the Sunday breakfast, which would have a full house minus the wedding party. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Of course, they all fought the additional charges, but videos of the condition they left the rooms with alcohol, oh boy, smoking and non-smoking rooms and the food smeared everywhere really helped out. Thank God for video, which also captured the first and second attacks on the buffet. There were also multiple people who were not registered who apparently stayed in the rooms by what was left behind and observed. What a mess. Rooms were out of service for 2 whole days. Wow, what a nightmare. When I first read the title, I kind of thought to myself, take the entire buffet, that must be a bit of an overstatement, but they literally took the entire breakfast buffet. Like, that's crazy. Am I married or do I have kids? So I finally hit my 30-day mark on Reddit. I can finally post on here now, so on to business. I was training a new girl for the front desk when a lady comes in with her 2 kids and says she wants to change her king bed to a room with 2 beds. The trainee does this and prints out the registration card. Yeah, we use reg cards at this property. And give her the spiel of initiating and signing the areas. We inform all of our guests of the rules and the type of room they've booked. As the trainee gets to the part of the 2 beds, the trainee says, "We've changed your king bed to 2 queen beds," and the lady guest interrupts the trainee by saying, "We want 2 king beds." My trainee apologises and informs the guest that the only type of 2 bed together we have are 2 queen beds or the 1 king bed. These are standard rooms. The guest doesn't want any of this and starts yelling at the trainee when I come over and offer my assistance and inform the lady that all we have are single king beds or double queen beds for standard rooms. The guest goes off yelling at the trainee by saying she wants a king bed so her kids can sleep in the bed without falling off the bed. Her kids, by the way, are running around the lobby screaming and using the water to make waterfalls onto the floor. I ask her to please stop her daughters from making so much water fall onto the floor, and she huffs at me and picks up her daughter. I continue to explain that if she wants 2 beds, one being a king, I could upgrade her to a suite. She then pulls out her entitlement card and says because she's a single mother of 2 and trying to get a room for the night, I need to give her that room for free. And do you know what? I would have if it hadn't been for the fact that you were yelling at my co-worker. I inform her it's $20 plus taxes and she asks in her "I'm from LA" and entitled voice, "You've never been married or have kids, do you?" I reply, because I'm tired of her bratty kids and their poor attitude, "No mum, I haven't made that mistake." And she just looked at me and said fine, we'll take the room. So I let trainee finish up the res whilst I go back to my room. 10 minutes later and she's back telling me the keys don't work and that I should comp the $20 upgrade fee. I ask her if she put the keys with the arrow pointing down and she screams at me and tells me she's not an idiot. So I ask for her to hand me the keys and we go up to her room to check the problem. I have my master key too, just in case. I didn't rekey her keys, by the way, I just came around the front desk and asked her for her keys. We get to the room and lo and behold, there are her 2 kids with the babysitter. So the whole time she was making it seem like it was just herself when she had a babysitter there with them. Where was this babysitter when you came into the lobby? But we get to the door and I try the first key and boom, green light and the door magically unlocks. I open the door for them and while the door is open I try the second key and boom, green light. Nice try lady, but no comp for you. The moral of the story is you will always get more flies with honey than vinegar. Well, I don't know how anyone old enough to be married or have kids don't know how hotel rooms work. One king or two doubles have been the standard option since Mary and Joseph were looking for a place to pop up baby Jesus, and I don't think it will change in the near future either. Guest sticks his hand inside a turned on toaster to see if it was hot enough. Yeah, you read and heard that right. So at my hotel, it's customary for the night shift to set up the restaurants for breakfast, including moving the big toaster. That's one of those large grey things with the rotating conveyor belt that can toast multiple items at once, you know the type. Anyway, I set up the restaurant, then go back to the front desk to finish off work for my shift. The waitress plugs in the toaster to warm it up for the guests for when they come down for breakfast. The first few guests come and I'm looking forward to the end of my Sunday night shift. Nice and quiet all evening, no drama, no fuss, not a soul to be seen or heard. More life in a graveyard. And then it happened. The waitress ran over to my desk, told me someone had burned themselves and asked me to phone an ambulance, then grabs the burn kit. Being the most senior member of staff on duty at this time in the morning, I follow her with my phone out, already dialing 999. The guest had very angry burns all over his hand. I asked him what he did and he said he stuck his hand inside the toaster to see if it was hot enough. What? He completely ignored the blazing red heating elements, the obvious sign sitting on top of the toaster that literally says "Warning Hot Toaster" in big block letters. And the decent level of heat coming out of the front where you place your bread or crumpets. He's now threatening to sue us for all we're worth because the sign doesn't say you shouldn't put your hand inside the toaster, and for medical bills despite living in England where we have the NHS. Common sense should already dictate that sticking your hand into a device that's meant to be hot is likely a bad idea. Idiot, I'm not paid enough for this. I love that the first thought after burning his hand was how to scam the hotel. Medical expenses made me laugh. The doofus has been watching too much American TV, let's be honest. No longer going to be front desk. I'm finally moving up. A few weeks back I made a post about the frustrations with my hotel, and 99.99% of you guys told me to run for the hills. So let me update you a little. I applied for a position at another hotel and asked my management company about the possibility of moving up, and they responded that they were not planning on hiring for that position ever. Our hotel always had an AGM. For some reason they thought that our hotel no longer needed one to help manage it, and we'd been struggling ever since. So I went home and plopped myself down in front of my computer and started applying for jobs anywhere else. It took me a while to get a call for an interview. I started losing hope, but then I did, and I actually called out of work to go. I never call out of work, so that was a weird thing for me to do, but oh man did it feel nice to have that extra day off. Interview went great, but then I didn't hear back from them, so I started losing hope and started to search again. Then my general manager announces he's put in his 2 weeks notice. I think to myself that I need to act fast because I know that at that point I'm the only person on property with the knowledge to make sure things are running the way they should be. I need a game plan. Then I get a call. The place I interviewed wants me to come in for a second interview. This is it, this is my play. I'll go to this interview and use that as a way to make my current job promote me and pay me more. I get a call from the general manager. They want to offer me the job. I ask for a day to think it over. So I pull a pro gamer move and call our big boss and let him know what's what. I really liked the people I worked with and wanted to stay with them. What do they want to do to keep me here? I told him how much I was looking for to stay, and he said that he wouldn't increase my pay by that much. But you paid the old AGM that much, why am I worth less when you've seen the amount of work I can do? The amount that they offered me was way below the pay grade, so he tried to justify it with all of the other benefits I get with them. All of which I can easily get literally anywhere else. It came off as, you should paint this picture for free for the exposure. I was red in the face when I hung up the phone and called the other job right away to accept the job. I think that was the push I needed to get me to do what's best for me. Then another person from the company calls me. Guess what he wanted to talk about? The general manager position, which again was going to be paying me way less than any other general manager gets paid. A smaller property that didn't even have a restaurant was offering more money for that position. Knowing everything was wrong with the hotel, how unorganised the management company is at the moment, and the fact that the bills can't be paid on time made me very clearly say no. But he pushed a lot. They must really be that desperate they want someone who doesn't even have AGM training officially on paper to step into the GM role. Sigh, I will not be staying at a place that tries to justify why they should pay people less. I will be a general manager eventually, but not here. I will be running for the hills. And I will come back every once in a while to rescue some of my old staff when I can. I'm very nervous. I'm going to be a completely different brand. I'm going to have to hit the ground running. But I've got this. Want to know how I know I've got this? Because of you guys. Because of this sub. It's my biggest resource when I need help, and we all help each other with our knowledge as best as we can. Thank you, Tales from the Front Desk. I had a look through the comments on that story, and it was just full of people congratulating and making personal comments, and it was kind of cute to see the way that this community is forming, a group of people that work on the front desk that genuinely care for each other and can give each other good advice as well as telling good stories. If you like the subreddit, give it a Google or click on the link below and check it out yourself. Well guys, that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like rating down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.